Hi. 20% of people in Europe and UK suffer from chronic pain. And that's 5 to 7 people in each row of this room, so that's a lot of people. And because they usually feel, they look healthy, I think of it as invisible pain. So what's the difference between acute and chronic pain? So we know that we feel pain after an injury, and we know that that injury will only last for a certain time, and then after that the pain will go away. We know that if it takes a bit longer, painkillers will take the pain away, so we'll be fine. And so we know that the function of pain is to protect the place of the injury and also to avoid the source of pain. With chronic pain, this is completely different. And I will explain you why, and I'll start with the last one, which is the function. There is no function for chronic pain. So, and this is how we know when pain becomes not a sign of something that is wrong, but the thing that is wrong itself, it's a disease. And drugs like morphine work, but patients often complain of side effects. Drugs that were designed for other conditions, like antidepressants and anticonvulsants, they are very helpful, and we are finding out more and more how they work. And recently, this idea of combining different drugs and different molecules together, using only their best assets and arranging an end product that it's better than the sum of its parts, seems to be very promising and working very well. So chronic pain is persistent, which means that it can persist while an injury persists. It can persist after an injury is gone, and it can just appear with no injury at all. With time, frequently, there are more conditions that come up together with chronic pain, and those are depression, anxiety, memory deficits, and more. So, if I cut my finger, the pain signals go from my finger to my hand, to my arm, and to my spinal cord. In the spinal cord, they go to the brain through 2 different routes, and they end up in 2 different areas of the brain. One area gives us the sensorial information, which means that it tells us that if we have a cut or a bruise, and if the cut is deep or superficial. The emotional component tells us that pain is unpleasant. And this is important because if pain wasn't unpleasant, we wouldn't avoid it or the source of injury. So we would damage our body frequently. And so in yellow are the areas of the brain that are active during normal pain, and then in red and blue are the same areas, but in red, the areas that are active, more active and bigger during chronic pain, and in blue, the areas that are less active and smaller in chronic pain. And for instance, the area of the brain that I told you that has that is responsible for the emotional component of pain is also responsible for fear and sadness and bad memories. So this is why we think that patients often have depression and anxiety, because this area just increases and gets more active, so everything with it gets bigger. And now, with the help of liquid strings, I'm going to try to show you what happens with the neurons in these areas where there is more activity, from changing from normal pain to chronic pain. So, sorry. So they were out of tune in purpose. The idea was to be unpleasant, because this is all unpleasant. So chronic pain can result when there is an injury like arthritis. Some people, when they have, for instance, knee replacement, they get rid of the pain and they are fine. Sometimes 20% of the patients who have knee replacement still have pain. So this is one of those cases that injury is healed and there's still pain. And this is the case also with neuropathies, with back pain, and other conditions like fibromyalgia and migraine. They never had an injury for a start, so they just appear. And patients complain of pins and needles and burning pain, spontaneous pain, and even painful, well, non-painful stimulus that become painful, like the clothes in your body. And because they usually look healthy or they don't look that bad, people don't believe them. Even GPs and family and friends think they are just making a little bit up. So one of the ways that they have to express themselves and try to show what they feel is through art. And these are some of the artworks that they made. And you can see that not only a physical aspect of pain and what they actually feel is very well depicted, but the emotional part is very striking. So I hope you now know that chronic pain is real, and although patients look healthy and sometimes cheerful, they are in pain, and mood disorders are also real and they are frequent. And we are working very hard to know more and more about what happens in the nervous system with chronic pain. And also we are working hard to help and developing new drugs. And although we know that to live in pain is really hard and people feel very isolated, we want them to trust us, and there's hope. Thank you.